When you go to buy groceries, are you paying attention to how much the groceries cost? Is that where your focus is going? Because if that's where your focus is going, then you are going to keep focusing on how much is leaving you, how much money is leaving you. Instead, what we can do is focus on the utility of what we are buying. We can focus on the utility of what we are receiving instead. So you have to go buy groceries. You are going to study the groceries that you receive, how plump the tomatoes are, literally, how plump the tomatoes are, how much God has bestowed his abundant state onto this planet, how much variety there is in things that you could possibly buy or that you have bought. You're going to study all of them, and you're going to carefully put them into your fridge. And this is the art of noticing. And when we live this way with intention and with gratitude and with a slow way of moving through the world, we're moving quickly here, but extrinsically, we are taking our time to appreciate what has naturally been given to us. And this is abundance mentality. Okay? When you rewire your mind to think this way, every single experience in your life will be pleasurable. And pleasure is the highest epitome of abundance. So when we experience relationships, they're going to be pleasurable to us. They're going to be exciting to us. They're going to be scintillating to us. Every single person in this world can be your friend. You can be friends with anybody, and you can help anybody, and you can teach and reach anybody. And that alone should be so exciting for you, because your existence is important to this planet. And you can demonstrate that every single day in every way, to people, to animals, to objects, to inanimate objects. Because what do inanimate objects give us? They give us an environment, and they give us the ability to understand ourselves as artists or creators of our environment. So when we can manipulate matter or manipulate our environment in a certain way to serve ourselves or to serve another, typically both, what happens is that we become aware of how we are co-creators of our reality. And so this is why I particularly like fashion. I like things that give ode and reverence to the God that sits everywhere. So cleanliness is next to godliness. You've probably heard that before. This goes for your mind, for your body. This goes for the way that you appreciate abundance, the tomato example, right? That's a clean mentality, because that is in accordance with the mentality of truth. That abundance mindset is in accordance with the mentality of God. God has wanted us to experience him in all of these different ways. So instead of thinking, my groceries cost an X amount, do you understand how low vibrational that thought is, in the sense that it's very constricting to the human experience, and it's very limiting of the human consciousness, and it doesn't promote growth. It promotes a cap to our life force energy. It promotes a stagnation of our ability to consciously create with our imagination. So when we instead notice everything that we have been given, this act of noticing, or this art of noticing, becomes a skill set. And this skill set can be applied to everything in our life. I love that person's dress. I love this. I love that. I love, love, love. God is everywhere. You start living abundantly. You start living a very pleasurable, abundant experience. Okay, so that was my first point. Now, it is important to understand that abundance is open for everybody. Abundance is abundant. Even when we think that we are lacking in some way, our focus, our perspective goes towards the abundance of that lack, right? Not the lack of the lack, but the abundance of the lack. So we are always propagating our energy and putting it into something, putting it into some idea. So whether this idea is favorable to us or unfavorable to us, that's actually up to us. That's within our discretion. That's within our ability to change. So if I'm going to be sitting here and thinking that my groceries cost an X amount, that's a choice that I have made to think that way, to have that mindset around what I am gaining, what I'm accruing, which is vegetables, groceries, things I actually need to survive, things I need to keep my body healthy and my eyesight clear and my mind clear. Like, it's actually about the art of noticing compound effect. Because when we can notice compound effect, we will be even more grateful for all the things that we can experience in our life. And gratitude breeds more gratitude, more things to be grateful for. It breeds more abundance. And it brings in, it attracts, it pulls in, it magnetizes more abundance to us, because it's a very open, abundant, full, whole, and rich state of being and feeling. And the opposite of gratitude is, pessimism, lack mentality, taking things for granted. What happens when you start taking things for granted? It says this in the Bible. Things will leave you. Things will leave from you, because you are neglecting the gifts that God has given you. So to be ungrateful for something means that you have killed it within your experience, within your life experience, right? Let's say you want, this is an interesting perspective. Let's say you actually want to get rid of something. You want to get rid of a relationship, or you want to get rid of some problem in your life. Same mentality applies. Same thing applies. You are going to be focusing on the utility that this so-called problem has given you, and this problem is actually not going to be a problem anymore, because you are going to decide that it is not a problem anymore. And so because of your decision to shift out of the frequency of it being a problem, you have now created a circumstance that is actually going to serve you. You understand what I'm saying? In more ways than one, in as many ways as you can think of, in so many ways. In all of the ways that your imagination can create. So what once was a problem or a sinkhole has now become a multitude of solutions, a multitude of creative ideas on top of those solutions, a multitude of creative ideas, a multitude of new angles and new ways of seeing the world and seeing things. That is what you have created from your so-called problem. There's no such thing as a problem. I want you to understand that. There's no such thing as lack. These things we create it. We create it within the egoic mind, within the narcissistic personality. We create these things. But in actuality, the soul, which is very pure, which is very authentic, it is meant to notice abundance. It is meant to notice God. It wants to notice God. It wants to experience God through everything. And so if we cut ourselves off from that experience, remember the tomato example, then what happens is we actually cannot tap into who we are at all. We actually do not even recognize who we are at all as being abundant children of His. Like, we just don't see ourselves for who we are. We don't see ourselves for our truth, for how creative we are, for how inventive we are, for how imaginative we are. You know, we are truly beautiful children. And it also says in the Bible that, God will forgive you for your sins. He doesn't hold anything against you, things like that. And I want to bring this point up because sometimes when I have coached people in the past on how we are all beautiful children, they'll say, well, Seema, I have done this in my life, and I didn't do that in time, and I missed out on this, and I regret doing this. Self-forgiveness will open the door towards seeing the truth of who you are. You must forgive yourself for even all the times that you looked at a grocery bill, and instead of noticing the tomato, you noticed the grocery bill, metaphorically speaking, in any avenue of your life, right? So, forgive yourself to open the door to who you are. There's no more time to wait. There's no more time to live in the old way of thinking and living. Now you are going to forgive yourself, and you're going to see yourself as, okay, yes, regardless that I have done this or done that, maybe it was the best choice at the time for me. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I really, really screwed up, right? Regardless, I'm going to accept the fact that I screwed up, and I'm going to forgive myself for it, because that is the only option that I have in order to recognize who I am, and I want to recognize who I am so badly. That is such a sweet part of life. That is the sweetness of life that I'm missing out on. So I'm going to do the work to forgive myself. And then I'm going to understand that I am loved regardless, held regardless by source, admired and revered regardless by source, protected regardless by source, by God, and that I am provided for always, constantly by source and by God. And that is the way to free yourself and to free your mind from the constant thinking that you are one way. Again, that egoic identity, that narcissistic personality that literally creates problems. We create problems for ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the self-work that you guys are going to be doing after this video. Additionally, I want to bring up the fact that perspective is power. So it is such a huge power. Actually, it is all of the power that we have, because perspective is the ability to experience this human life as being a part of the universe. We are experiencing this human life through the eyes of source. We just don't know it. So that perspective that we have starts from the only true power that is, which is love, which is unconditional love, which is God, right? So God has allowed for us, this unconditional love has allowed for us to experience life from a vantage point, from a perspective of a human being, right? And so our attention through our eyes on anything is our power to create here. So we are actually transmuters of divine intelligence and divine information, divine energy into matter. So any idea or invention that has ever been created it's all been from God. It's all been from God. The iPhone, any music piece. Like, we think that we are the doers, and that's where we are wrong. Again, that egoic narcissistic personality. Trust not in yourself, trust in God, because if you trust in yourself, you're going to keep creating problems for yourself. But if you trust in God, and if you put your whole life and identity into God, and understand that you are not the doer, that he is the doer of all things, and he's the creator, and he's the inventor, and you are just the vessel to carry out his instructions and directions and energy, then you will no longer create problems for yourself. You will instead be so linked with him, because you will be in a constant state of surrender, surrendering your life unto him, that you will not be able to create problems for yourself, because you're not living in lack mentality. You're not living from that egoic perspective. You're not living as the ego or the identity that is always faulty and that must always be worked on. That's what self-work is. Instead, you are living from the soul. You are living from the most natural place that you can live from. So our perspective is power. The way that we look at things changes the way that things are. It changes matter. Because our perspective dictates our feeling state, our vibrational state, which then will dictate the whole way the quantum is structured. Again, I'm focusing on the fullness and the juiciness and the ripeness and the color of the tomato. I'm not focusing on the grocery bill, because that does me no good. It does nobody else any good, and it's not rooted in truth, which is abundance, which is God mentality. It's rooted in lack, which is a result of societal programming, and which is a result of the entire order of exploitation that has been put upon human beings globally and for a very long time now, to keep human beings operating under a state of fear and under a state of disconnect from their true authentic identity, which is the soul. So instead, we are walking around thinking that, okay, I have to pay this bill and I have to, not realizing that our mental real estate can be used for something entirely different. The tomato, it can be used to create new ideas, to bring ideas down from the heavens, literally. Okay, so does that make sense to you guys? Next. All right, so the next concept that I would like to touch on is the age of the internet. Okay, we live at a time where anybody can create one business, two business, three business, multiple businesses out the door in order to make themselves and their family and their immediate surroundings very prosperous. And so the way to do this is to actually create systems or have systems in place that streamline money from a low point to a high point, which is your pocket. So I say low to high because that is the direction in which money typically flows when it comes in, right? But money leaves us very easily. It goes from a high state to a low state, and this is the law of entropy. Like, typically we have to spend money on things more frequently than money comes in, and when this happens to a very high degree, and when this gap is like really, really high in the inverse state, that's called poverty. But when there's a high gap in the opposite way, this is called wealth or abundance, or having extra, having a marginal supply. So it is every single individual's birthright to experience abundance, because we are abundant by nature. So we have been born, guys, into a revolutionary time of the internet, which is an ode to 5D New Earth. It is a reflection of 5D New Earth. It is a reflection of the age of Aquarius, which we are currently sitting in, right? So we must use this God-given tool. Actually, 5D New Earth started happening when the internet was born, and the internet has only been progressing and growing over time. So any position of power that you see somebody being in, whether it's a coach or an author, or a teacher, or a YouTuber, you can be that, okay? Because if you have had the ability to have that idea come across your experience, then you have the ability to be that and so much more. God wants you to use your creative faculties to add, to give, to serve, to provide, to nurture, to care for, and that is when abundance comes. That is when abundance comes. Abundance does not come when we are hoarding, when we are saving, when we are selfish with any part of our energy. When have you ever heard somebody saving money and becoming rich as a result of saving money? It doesn't happen. That's not how it happens. Because if you study money, you'll understand that it is an energy and it needs to be in constant circulation. So we gain money when we reinvest money into systems that actually bring us more money, that bring us more margin, that we can then use to, again, reinvest. And do you understand how that margin keeps growing? That safety margin keeps growing. So that's how to build wealth. And I made a previous video, I will link it down below, on how you can build wealth in the creator economy as a coach or a content creator or service or product provider. And you should really watch that video. I've talked about it mostly towards the end of the video, but you should watch the whole video because it's going to be very helpful for you on how to start seeing money and on how to shift yourself from a lack mindset to an abundance mindset. So let me see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Last thing, in any business that you have, which should be marketed out there if you want your business to attract more clients, right? That's just obvious. In any business that you have, you need to be finding ways to use systems to maximize your income, maximize the income coming in, and reduce your time spent on anything, because your time is your most valuable commodity. It's not your money, it's your time. Time never returns. Money can return. Time can never return. So time is your most valuable asset. So in whatever business you have, you want to find ways to optimize your various systems. So what is optimability? Optimability is what happens when you have money coming in through these systems and there's an inflow and your time is maximized. Okay? So you are reducing, again, time spent on your business. You are maximizing time spent on yourself, which means more content creation, more filming, more ideas taking form, more individual coaching with your clients, and more providing services in the way that only you can. So you're going to reduce the time spent in your business. You're going to outsource as much as possible. And you are going to create optimal systems within your business. This is entire business optimization, right? You are going to create optimal systems within your business that allow for money to come in on autopilot as much as possible, You want to be doing as little legwork as possible in your business. You want to be as lazy as you can, seriously, within your business, within admin work, because screw admin work. And you want to be as focused as possible within creative work and within service-based work. towards your clients. Okay, so I hope that helped you guys out. If you guys have any questions on this, you can feel free to book a call with me down below. I will have my links down below for you to book a call with me. We do one-on-one calls. I actually also do have an 8-week coaching program. I also do have a 4-week coaching program in which we are going to go over all of the ways in which you can increase your revenue within your existing coaching business. Find that link down below. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you so much for watching. I also do have a free Facebook group that you can join. Again, the link is down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel for more content just like this, and comment down below what your favorite value piece was. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you in the next one. Peace.